Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. Unfortunately, tonight we have some bad news. We are going to be diving into two NFL storylines. First, we're going to analyze the devastating impact of the Chargers losing their star left tackle Rashawn Slater to a season-ending injury. And then we're going to explore the Cincinnati Bengals because they decided to play their starters in the preseason tonight. A risky move, but a poor start to the previous three seasons, to say the less. We will break down the implications, the strategy, the gamble, the fan reactions, but we are going to be heavily talking about the Rashawn Slater news first. That right after the intro.
America is football. Football is America.
Football is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God.
No!
You loved it.
It's 30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. It's your boy, Kyle K, coming at you with another episode. Tonight, we have bad news for Chargers fans. The Chargers, it's a massive blow. It's a massive blow when Pro Bowl left tackle Rashawn Slater was carted off the field during practice today. And it's already being called a torn patellar tendon, and it is expected to sideline him for the entire 2025 season. This is a big deal. Slater just signed his 4-year, $114 million contract. We heard all of the jokes that were going on with the internet that he timed his divorce perfectly because a day after it was finalized, or right after, I don't know if it was a day or a week, but right after the divorce was finalized, he signed a 4-year, $114 million extension with $92 million guaranteed, and that did make him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. And his role as the anchor of the Chargers offensive line, it was critical. And there are all-pro tackles around the NFL that if you lose one, it's just one of those injuries that it's not replaceable. But why this is especially bad news for the Chargers is because Jim Harbaugh, his whole philosophy is about being tough and physical and running the football. And if you wanted me to give you proof, I wouldn't need to. Everyone knows this, but look no further than his decision to draft Malik Neighbors, or to not draft Malik Neighbors and to draft Joe Alt. And there's plenty of head coaches out there that would have taken the fancy receiver that was available. Not the Chargers. There's plenty of coaches that would have said, you know what, we got Rashawn Slater, we're good. The Chargers were like, no, we want Joe Alt. And he was awesome. And we all knew he was going to work out. But it just goes to show, like, the players that Harbaugh drafted, the coaches that he brought over onto his staff, all revolved around being physical and tough and playing in the trenches and just beating you with strength. And that is a little bit different than, say, Kansas City losing an all-pro offensive lineman. Because although it's always going to be a tough blow, this is specific to the Chargers. It's like we took their heart. It would have been one thing for them to lose a wide receiver, and that would have hurt too. Like I want to preface this with all injuries impact the team. All right. But this one is specifically bad news for the Chargers because their whole identity revolves around Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, setting the tone up front. And they're going to be without that. And you look at the other team in this division that people are talking about, the Denver Broncos. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs are always going to be the favorite until somebody knocks them off. But the Broncos are that other team. And I'm telling you, we did a joint practice with the 49ers, and one of the reporters for the radio station for the Denver Broncos, I'm blanking on his name right now, but I'll get it to you. He said today that his phone was blowing up after practice from the 49ers coaches that were at that joint practice talking about how dominant the Denver Broncos defense is. Remember, they were dominant last year, and now they took two of the 49ers that were all pros, two guys that were in the top 100, and we're talking top 100 players in the NFL, put them on our team and drafted the best corner in the draft. And now you really look at this defense and it's like there is no weakness, and the depth is unmatched. The Chargers' way of combating a Nick Bonito and a Zach Allen is Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. Like they are going to be playing the Broncos in very meaningful games this year because they're in the West and they're going to beat the hell out of each other. But unless three teams are going to go to the playoffs like last year, there's only room for really one more. So I see those Chargers-Broncos games being massive, and this is going to make it impossible, in my opinion, for the Chargers to combat what Denver has defensively. And outside of Denver, just every team that they play. I mean, you get this $114 million extension, and one of those years from the four is already gone. The Chargers last year leaned on the rushing attack. He was and is the anchor of the offensive line. Luckily, they did draft Joe Alt. So now it's going to be, hey, we are going to have to shift to rookie Joe Alt. And we're going to have to probably move Trey Pipkins to right tackle. And Joe Alt will play left tackle. And that Trey Pipkins guy, he's going to have to, everybody's going to have to become a big boy quick now. There's also, just because you plug and play doesn't mean that it's going to be cohesive. This offensive line doesn't have a ton of time to understand each other, to play together. It's not like they lost a guard or a center. They lost the guy. This is huge. The Chargers had a 7-3 record, but losing Slater last year by week 10, they were 7-3. I don't know if they're going to start off that hot. I mean, I honestly, a 9-8 finish might be optimistic. That's how important this was. Like, you're telling me that Slater's the difference between 2 football games being won or lost? Yeah, I think so. Because how many games can you go back to? Remember, the NFL was decided by 1 possession in the final minute in like 70%. There was a gambling commercial that was talking about, not trying to win it back. And the point of the whole commercial was the NFL is very unpredictable, and it comes down to the wire every single week. And it comes down to 1 or 2 plays every single week. And one of the biggest momentum shifting plays that can happen in sports is a sack. There's nothing like it. There's a huge difference between running the ball on first down, gaining 6 yards, right? Feeling pretty good about yourself. 2nd and 4, drop back, decide to throw it, take a 10-yard loss. Now it's 3rd and 14. And it's like, whoa, what just happened? The sack is crucial. And when it comes to Rashawn Slater, he was amazing last year. And I had his numbers pulled up because I want to actually show you how good he was last year. And we got the old intro. Holy shit. I didn't even realize I did it, but I love that I did. I love that I did. Now give me 1 second because I want to. Here we go. Okay, now keep in mind, this is just last year. According to PFF, Slater posted an exceptional grade through 13 games. This was, I guess, before the season ended. This is a PFF grade. He had a 91.1 overall grade, one of the highest. Pass blocking grade, 90.6. Run blocking, 82.9. He earned a perfect 100 PFF pass blocking efficiency score. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. And there was even some other ones. I want to pull up here. Rashawn Slater, 2nd in of all offensive tackles last year, PFF wise. 2nd. The only guy that was 1st was the guy from the Philadelphia Eagles that played. I think it was the guy that played rugby. And gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now. But Rashawn Slater's, he's in a league of his own. I mean, the guy is just an absolute beast. And I had one more about out of like 500 dropbacks, he gave up like a ridiculous amount of pressures. Here it was. Rashawn Slater has allowed just 1 sack on 500 pass blocking snaps this season. This was in 2023, December 2023. So we were in the 4th quarter of the 2023 season, and Rashawn Slater allowed 1 sack on 500 passing block snaps. That's like, it's like Trent Williams, right? Brock Purdy was talking about this on Bussin' with the Boys, how when Trent Williams is in the game versus when he's not in the game, and he didn't want to talk bad about his, other players on the team, but he was saying when Trent Williams is in the game, like, I don't have to worry at all about that side. That just allows you as a quarterback, like mentally, when you know that your blind side is sealed, you're allowed to let yourself kind of go deep in here and think and make the right decisions and wait that extra second or two for that receiver to get in that window, right? In zone defense. Like it allows so much for a quarterback than when he's like, oh my God, am I about to get hit? And you get rid of the ball second early, throw a pick, take a sack, fumble because you were clueless that there was even a guy there. How could somebody have gotten to me that quick? Well, your tackle got beat right off the snap. Yeah, that doesn't happen. I mean, just look at how different Brock Purdy looked when Trent Williams was out of the game. So Joe Alt is going to have to pick up the pieces. He was amazing last year, and it's really sad. I mean, a non-contact injury after planting his left leg, his knee just gave out. And I have it here for you guys, so did it go? Okay, here it is. Oh, it's doing that thing again. Where is it? Here. There we go. Okay. Share screen. So that's Rashawn Slater right here. I'll show you again. Looks like he just backpedaling a little bit and his knee gave out. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Staying healthy. I mean, that's why they say every Super Bowl run, you need a little bit of luck, because you see these non-contact injuries like this, and there's a part of you that's like, how do you prevent that? And there is a science behind teams that are frequently injured and teams that aren't frequently injured. I've learned a lot about this since Sean Payton's come to Denver, because we were every single year one of the most injured teams in the NFL. And knock on wood, we have been one of, I think, the least most injured team in the last 2 years. And you can find clips with Sean Payton talking for 30 minutes straight on the subject. He's very into it. And he wants his players to see, because you got players that love to, do their own training. Russell Wilson was big on this. He had his own coaches in the building. When it's off season, right, June, you don't want the players to feel like they're coming to work. This is what Sean said. You just want them to come in, get a good lift in, and, just be doing that kind of stuff at the facility. A lot of these guys go off and they got their own coaches, and, it's whatever. Like, they're professionals. They have their own guys. But the reason Sean likes when they come to the building to work out is because the coaching staff that he selected, the weight lifting team, the strength and conditioning coaches, all of these guys were selected in the mindset of, how can we train these guys to not get injured? You're not benefiting from that if you're out coaching with your own team. And that's just like the attention to detail that Sean puts into his staff, where he's like, no, like, I need you guys to see, out of all the players that have decided to train here in the month of June, none of them have been injured in the past 3 seasons. Now you're looking at a 99% participation from the team. Nobody's doing that anymore, because they've seen, like, oh, wow, hey, whatever they're doing, it's working. Everybody's staying healthy, and that means that we can capitalize and on our careers and make millions of more dollars. It is like looked at as an investment. Hey, so I don't know what the Chargers are doing over there. I mean, Harbaugh's only been there for a year. I do know before Harbaugh, the Chargers were always banged up, man. They were just like us, always banged up. And Nick in the chat, he said, I got pulled after, I think, 3 passes after a hit. I didn't see if they dropped an update. He got pulled after, I think, 3 passes. Wait, who got? Oh, wow. I didn't know Anthony Richardson got hurt. Anthony Richardson, let's see. Anthony Richardson got absolutely smashed by number 90 for the Ravens. Speaking of blindside, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what losing Rashawn Slater does to a quarterback right here. Boom! Right? He, in his mind, he was like, there's no reason to be worried. I just snapped the ball. The next play, he's in his head. He's in his head for the rest of the game now. There will be no more. Who knows, man? If he had another second, maybe he was about to throw a beautiful ball. He looked like he was trying to go through his progressions. He didn't quite make it off his first read, because of the time. But what that does to the psyche of the quarterback is the real damage, let alone the injury that could potentially happen. Now, I'm not seeing anything here about anything too crazy. I think it might be a concussion. All right, here we go. Came across a similar play to the one Anthony Richardson got injured on tonight. Let's see. Why is all the updates in Spanish? Oh, he dislocated his right pinky finger on a blindside sack after just about 7. That was the play I just showed you. So that play right there, he dislocated his pinky. It popped out. It popped back in. Shane Steichen also indicated that Richardson is considered day-to-day. So this isn't anything crazy, but it is a dislocated pinky. And if you want to see something pretty freaking gruesome, I'll show you right now. This is what that dislocated pinky looked like. You see it right here. Right there. That's pretty gnarly. Whew. So anyway, Rashawn Slater, they're still going to do some imagery. So I don't know, maybe a miracle. Maybe. I don't know. But for right now, the Chargers shift to Joe Alt and left tackle, move him to left tackle, and move Trey Pipkins to right tackle. I mean, without Slater, we'll see what this means for the Chargers. But for now, Chargers are just going to have to lean on the fact that they have one of the best coaches in the NFL. And that guy is not going to be like, oh, yeah, our season's over now. Right? Same thing with Sean Payton. If we lost one of our, offensive linemen, now we have the best line in the NFL, arguably, but we don't have any single player as good as Rashawn Slater. But we have, a bunch of 90s. We just don't have a guy that's a 95, in my opinion. But if we lost one of our guys, like, it's not like, oh, the Broncos season's over now, right? And I don't expect the Chargers to go easy into that dark night because of Rashawn Slater's injury. It is going to be a massive challenge for the Chargers. They're going to have to figure out how they can move this line around to make it something resembling what it was last year. So their highly injured quarterback, he's very prone to injury. If he takes too many hits, like the first thing Harbaugh did when he got there, he's like, I got to keep my quarterback from getting hit. He is getting injured way too much. What's the point of having a great quarterback if he's always hurt, right? They got to find a way to keep Herbert up, and they got to figure out what they're going to do. How are they going to chess piece move the offensive line in a way where it is still in good shape? Because the Chargers have too good of a team to let this derail their season. All right. Now I want to talk about the Bengals here for a second, because the Bengals starters in the preseason game tonight was a little bit surprising to me. Now, is it worth taking the gamble? Now, we've seen teams in the past decide. Sean McVay was really the guy that changed preseason forever. I mean, he just never played any of his starters, and it felt like, 2 years later, nobody was doing it anymore. Now, you would still see on the last game of the preseason a quarterback go in for a drive, and the preseason's valuable for teams trying to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. Like the Browns this year are going to benefit massively from being able to give all of these guys reps. But the Bengals you would think, don't need to give guys like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow reps, right? These are all-pro, first-team all-pro, top of the position. But the Bengals struggle in the beginning of the season every single year. They struggled last year in the beginning. Remember, they were 0-4, and they were losing heartbreakers. I think that fourth game was against the Chiefs, and there was a penalty that continued to drive, and next thing you know, the Chargers won. There were games against the Ravens where it was like Joe Burrow put up 40-plus points, and his team just couldn't get it done on defense. There was really just blown opportunities. Like, you're watching the Bengals and you're like, they should be 4-0 right now. They are the best 0-4 team I've ever seen. And yet we know that the AFC is tough. And the Bengals were needing Denver to lose to the Chiefs to get into the postseason last year after finishing the season 9-8. But remember, they were 4-8, and they won their last 5 games in a row, including Week 18 in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh at the time was on a 4-game skid, so they wanted to go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. I think they were 10-1, and they went into the postseason 10-6 or 10-7. So the Bengals played tough. They beat Denver in overtime the week before that. They didn't really have any excuse to not be in the playoffs offensively. They were terrific. It was the defensive side of the ball that was holding them back. But if you want to actually look at the Bengals' slow start that has become tradition, it's the offense too. Remember, not last year, but the year before, they lost to the Patriots. It was like one of the biggest upsets in the last 10 years. The Bengals were massive favorites over the Bengals, and the Bengals couldn't get it done. And you look at their record, right? In the last 4 years, their record is 7-9. Right, in their first 4 games for the last 4 years. That's 16 games, 7 wins, 9 losses. Okay. Their last 3 years, they've started off with losing records. Okay. Now, 4 years ago was the only season that they started good. They started 3-1. And it's like, it's an outlier. The Bengals haven't repeated that start in the Joe Burrow era. And isn't that funny? The year that they started 3-1, they made the Super Bowl. That's how important it was. Like, if last year the defense was just a little bit better, the Bengals would have been a 12-win team. 13 wins. Burrow would have won MVP, and they would have competed. But instead, they got off to an 0-4 start. And by the time they were 4-8, even though they won out the remainder of their games and won 5 games in a row, at the end of the day, it wasn't enough because of the hole they dug themselves into. So this is the Bengals saying, if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. We are going to play in the preseason, and we're going to make sure that we get the rust off, and we are going to go out there and see if it makes a difference. Because let's be real, Coach Zach Taylor is in his final season with the Bengals, unless they go to the playoffs. And even if he goes to the playoffs, I wouldn't say his job's safe if he gets eliminated, say the wild card round. All right, the Bengals really need, if you're Zach Taylor, you really need the Bengals to at least an AFC championship or a Super Bowl. Anything outside of an AFC championship or a Super Bowl, he's done. Gone. Gonzo. Okay? And in 2024, they already wasted Joe Burrow. Maybe his best season he'll ever have. Who knows? Right? He led the NFL in passing yards, over 5,000 passing yards. Jamar Chase was closing in on the triple crown, receiving yards, touchdowns, and catches. The offense was historical. Defense couldn't get it done. They wasted it. Burrow and Chase, their connection last year, since 2020, they've had 27 touchdown passes of 40 yards or more. Think about that for a second. Since Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have been on the same team, 4 years, 27 times they've scored a touchdown that was 40 or more yards. That's crazy. That might be one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. I don't know if any other quarterback wide receiver duo in their first 4 years have that many passes, touchdown passes of 40 or more yards. Okay. But this team needs to gel this year. They lose Orlando Brown. Kicker Evan McPherson, he missed crucial field goals last year. 48-yarder, 51-yarder from the Chargers game. Burrow, Chase, they were able to give T. Higgins a bunch of money, but yet the problem wasn't on offense. The problem was on defense, and their guy that was arguably going to win Defensive Player of the Year by December last year was Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson has still not been paid, but T. Higgins is paid. It's like, wait a minute. Your offense is a 10. Your defense is a 2. Why don't we make the offense an 8 and trust that Joe Burrow will be able to make the next wide receiver good because he'll throw him open, right? Tom Brady never needed Randy Moss and, another number 1. I can't even think of an equivalent for Tom Brady. I know he had like Wes Welker and He had some guys, but that's the thing. They weren't those guys until Brady got his hands on him. It's like Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, Wes Walker. These guys just, because Brady was such a perfectionist, he made his receivers better. He knew what he wanted. If they didn't understand him, he made it clear. No BS. Do your job. If you're not good enough, you're not playing. And I don't care if you're drafted in the first round or if you're an undrafted free agent. We will play the best players. And that breeds a level of competition. When nobody feels like their job's safe, everybody is playing as hard as they can. You can get it done. Joe Burrow is good enough to get it done, like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and these other great quarterbacks, like letting Tyreek Hill go from the Chiefs. It hasn't stopped the dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs. As much as I wish it would have, it didn't. So why in the Bengals' mind was it more important to pay T. Higgins than it was to take care of your best player on the worst side of the ball? And these are the type of decisions that dysfunctional front offices make. Remember, the Bengals were a poverty franchise until Joe Burrow showed up. They were one of those teams that if Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow, if he was a quarterback like Tua or Anthony Richardson or Mac Jones, whoever, it wouldn't have worked. The only reason it worked, it's not because of Zach Taylor. Come on. It's Joe Burrow. He was a winner in college, and he's a winner in the NFL. But the front office, I know Joe Burrow was banging the table for T. Higgins to get paid. Your job is, you're in the front office. I know you want to make your quarterback happy. You know what makes your quarterback happy? Winning. And I know that it's even more than just winning, but it's playing good, clean football. And that defense, Joe Burrow was cool about it last year. I don't expect him to just accept that his career is going to be wasted, that his best years are going to go into the gutter because the front office, you know what I mean? Like, Joe Burrow made his own bed with this T. Higgins thing because, yeah, he got him paid. He did it. He banged the table. He got him paid. But at the end of the day, T. Higgins and Joe Burrow are friends. Like, how would that have affected their relationship if T. Higgins knew that Joe Burrow wasn't publicly putting pressure on the Bengals front office to get him paid? Right? Read between the lines. Joe Burrow had no choice if he wanted to have a real friendship with his buddy T. Higgins. It's the parents' job to say no when you're wrong. And in this case, everybody was wrong. And yet, the clown show continues. The offensive coordinator shows up in a press conference last week. Ask him a question about the defense. He says, yeah, we're just going to need to score more points than the other team. That was the plan last year. It didn't work, right? You're doing the same thing. You have the same strategy. Nobody's looking at this Bengals defense thinking, ooh, watch out for them this year. They've made a lot of significant changes. They really haven't. Nothing that stands out. Maybe if you're a Bengals fan, you've, convinced yourself because the depth chart has changed. But sorry, like it just feels like last year all over again. So I do think that the decision to play the starters for the Bengals is the only option they really have. because if the defense isn't going to be better and they're going to be without Trey Hendrickson, if that's the case, the Bengals need to come out scoring 40 week 1. So Joe Burrow throwing a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase in today's preseason game, they're on the right track because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. Okay. All right. So I want to do a little Chargers outlook real quick, Bengals outlook, AFC playoff implications, and some bold predictions. Okay. Without Slater, the Chargers are going to be leaning more on Herbert's arm. Okay. Last year, Herbert wasn't asked to do much of anything. I mean, he was like having games where he threw for like 148 yards and they won, 16-10. It was just ugly. It was like, hey, I understand you want to run the ball and you want to be physical and tough, but you do know that your quarterback holds the rookie quarterback record for touchdown passes, right? This is like a guy that's going to throw 5,000 passing yards. I'm just saying, like, if I'm a Chargers fan, I'm like, we don't have to lean only on the running game. It's not like we have Saquon Barkley back there. We were going with J.K. Dobbins, who was really good until he got injured. He was averaging over 5 yards a carry. And, now they have Najee Harris, and they also drafted a running back. But I feel like this may mean that the Chargers lean more on Herbert in the passing game. Ladd McConkey had a really good season last year. If the offensive line can hold up in pass protection and Harbaugh can adapt, his adaptability is going to be tested here. Is he going to stick to the run game scheme or is he going to open up the passing attack? This is going to be really interesting to see how this gets played from just a coaching standpoint. For the Bengals, I think the gamble of playing their starters is going to give the Bengals an edge to avoid another 1-4 start. I'm thinking they're going to win double-digit games this year. The AFC North is pretty brutal, and that's why it gets really tough. They have to start fast because when you look at the Bengals' schedule, if they don't start fast, it's over. It'll be just like last year. Let me just tell you, their first 2 games, if they lose those, kiss the season goodbye. I hate to be that now. That's a little dramatic. But what I'm trying to say is they played Jacksonville and Cleveland week 1 and 2. I mean, you got to win those games because historically, you don't start off fast, and we need to put that behind us. And B, after those 2 winnable games, you play the Vikings, Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers. Vikings, Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers. And all of a sudden, you only have 1 game left in October. You get the Jets and the Bears, and then the Steelers. And then the Steelers is going to be a tough game. The Patriots. But then Ravens, Bills, Ravens. I mean, in a world where they start off 0-1 and you're just like, well, they'll be able to get it together versus a tougher opponent. Surely that'll be the case. No. They lost to the Patriots. It was an upset last year. And then they were going to get it together versus the Chiefs. They lost 26-25. Then they were going to get it together against the Commanders. They lost 38-33. All right. They get the win over the Panthers. And then the Ravens and Bengals game. And it's like, okay, we're trying to stack wins. We got 1 win. Is there any way that we can get 2 in a row, because at this point they were 1-4. They lose 41-38 in overtime because the Bengals defense, really. I mean, the amount of games that they lost were, I mean, besides the Eagles game, they got beat bad in the Eagles game. But like, they lost the next time they played the Ravens. They lost that game with scoring 34. They lost to the Steelers scoring 38. I mean, it's like, yeah, this year has to be different. And by the way, they lost to the Eagles today. Which is bringing me to my next point. 6 winners and 5 losers from the Bengals preseason loss today. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. All right. Final. I took the link to this podcast and I dropped it. I'm dropping it in a couple spots. Ravens rookie out for the season. Yikes. Oh, man. Oh, God. Okay. Warning. Oh, my God. Warning. This is going to be graphic. Yikes. Okay. I know, I feel like it hits me hard because this, it looks similar to what happened to my leg, but my leg was actually like completely detached. Like the leg was separated. My skin was holding it together. That's how you don't lose it when you get lifted up, but it was just free hanging. It wasn't connected to my knee anymore. This looks kind of similar. And like I said, I'm warning you, this is graphic. That right there. Yikes. That right there is a snapped leg. Completely snapped it. Oh, gosh. Anyway, heartbreaking for Cone, who has one of the most remarkable stories in football. Leg snapped on that play, and preseason, man. This is why people decide not to play their players in the preseason. But I mean, what's more valuable? Getting them reps and having them ready for the season, or living life fearful that a sport that, injuries are inevitable are going to happen. Jameis Winston hit the field goal crossbar today, getting Brian Dable to cancel the Giants walkthrough drills for the rest of the day. I think this is also worth a gander. Here you go.
Again, something accomplished here. All right, here's the deal. All right, all four quarterbacks are going to have
All four quarterbacks are going to have a chance if he hits the quarterback.
Then walkthrough's done tonight.
Hey, can we phone a friend?
Don't negotiate.
Don't negotiate with me, Dexter. All right, I need
Hey,
Jameis is up.
I do want to tell y'all we got Bible study at 3:30 during the snack period, and y'all faith is going to determine me hitting this. Y'all know
Jameis wins.
Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. I'm trying to tell y'all.
I don't feel like I have to say the inevitable, but I'm going to. I don't know if the Giants being that happy about canceling their walkthrough drills is the best move. I feel like the Giants need all of the walkthroughs that they can get. I also thought that that was going to be a much further pass. But yeah, John Harbaugh announced that the Ravens cornerback tore a ligament in his knee and he'll be out for the season. And he did that right after. And official reports are that he tore his ACL and his MCL in tonight's game. And it's a devastating injury. So we know Anthony Richardson dislocated his pinky. He'll be okay. Ravens rookie Bilhal Cohn's leg was completely sideways, carted off the field with an air cast. MCL, ACL, done for the season. And it's going to be, it's going to be another one of those rookies that their season ends right before it even begins. But you got to keep your head up, prayers, love, all of that, sending it your way, and you'll be better for it, hopefully. I really hope that we don't have a ton of injuries this year. And I say this every year, but the NFL is just so much better when its best players are playing. It just is. And Ashton Genty, standing straight up stance, it's officially gone. I don't know if you guys saw today in the Seahawks-Raiders game, he was not standing straight up. Also, there was a purple dildo thrown at a WNBA game today. There's been a lot of green dildos that have been thrown today. It was purple. Yeah, I know that the odds, I think, were minus 150. And I know the guy that threw the green dildo was facing 2 counts of disorderly conduct and assault battery because he hit somebody with the dildo. Could you imagine telling people that I was assaulted by a dildo? But not like sexually. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, that's a real story. That's a real story for somebody in the world in 2025. Ashton Genty. We'll see how good he will be this year. There's supposed to be There's supposed to be a Hall of Fame comparison, LaDainian Tomlinson. So we'll see. We will see. The WNBA actually had a no bag policy for tonight's game because of the dildo thing. And I'm sorry to bring the dildo thing back up, but I just want to make it clear that the WNBA took a bunch of precautions to make sure that something like this never happens again. And there was a purple dildo thrown on the court the day of the no bag policy. Very, very interesting. We will see how the WNBA clears that up. And I will finish with this. Rashawn Slater, the worst of the three injuries, not in like gruesomeness, just in impact on the team. But I want to end in this. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, T-Mac, Calvin Banks, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, Walton Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Jahdae Barron. Who's winning Rookie of the Year this year? You probably will see this after it uploads, so go ahead and just put it in the comments whenever you see it. And let me know, because we are getting awfully close. And once the season starts, nobody can say, oh, yeah, no, you didn't call that. You just waited till the season started. And, this is the time of year where you can still make a prediction. And I'll be like, no, you called it. You called it. This is going to be a season unlike any other. Because I finally, for the first time in the history of this channel, I will be cheering for a team that I think is going to be a top 5 team. And I'm so excited for football. It is unbelievable. But sorry to Charger fans for the loss that they had. That was pretty brutal news. As soon as I got it, I knew we had to go live and discuss it. So I hope that Charger fans keep their head up. Harbaugh, just trust in Harbaugh, right? You got to trust in Harbaugh. Harbaugh is going to find a way to get it done, because that's just what great coaches do. Tyreek Hill told Jason Sanders, you better not miss a kick this year. Jason Sanders said back, you better not drop a ball. So Tyreek Hill still with the Miami Dolphins on a bus today. It's weird because nothing actually came of that whole situation. And, with him requesting a trade, are we just pretending that none of that happened? Or is he on the trading block? And if he is playing for the Dolphins, what do we make of the Dolphins? Are they a contender this year? I mean, because last year we kind of just got to the point where we all started doubting them. So if Tyreek is getting along with his teammates and he's doing all the team activities, I'm starting to feel like, okay, well, maybe this is happening, and maybe the Dolphins have a shot. Maybe they do. But anyway, Cincinnati loses to the Philadelphia Eagles after playing some of their starters today. 3 major injuries. Derrick Henry, 31 years old. He played a couple snaps. And what is this? Derrick Henry should have never been faded. He's a beast. Faded. What does that even mean? Derrick Henry has another season like last year. There will be some incredibly serious conversations to be had. Derrick Henry looking like a beast today. Derrick Henry said he is afraid that someone will become better than him, so he trains harder each offseason. I think right now, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley are going to be considered top 15 all time, maybe top 10. So let's just enjoy it. We don't know how many more seasons of Derrick Henry being better we will get. And last but not least, Devontae Adams said today he doubts Travis Hunter can play offense and defense in the NFL. He said, I don't even think it's possible to do for real, not at a high level once you get out there playing both sides. So, is it possible? I'm telling you right now, he's definitely playing receiver because nobody can cover him. That's what's coming out of OTAs right now, is that nobody can cover him. So, I mean, as far as running backs go, tier 1, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, CMC. Tier 2, Devon A. Chan, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Jonathan Taylor. Tier 3, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. I don't know about those tiers. That's coming from Dynasty FF Wolf. I feel like Bucky Irving is going to be tier 1. And I think Derrick Henry being tier 2, I can be okay with that, but I don't know. I think RJ Harvey might be climbing up as well. And plus, Devon Achane, they had him, super high last year, and nothing really. I mean, anybody that drafted him knows that they took him way too high. The top 50 NFL players list 20 to 11 came out. So I'll close with this. Number 20 was Derrick Henry. The 20th best player in the NFL, Derrick Henry. Isn't that crazy? Do you feel like that's too high? I feel like 20 is too high right now. Honestly. I feel like 20 is too high. Brock Purdy didn't even make the top 100. He threw a dime to Ricky Pearsall today. Deep ball. Micah Parsons right after Derrick Henry at 19. A.J. Brown at 18. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 17. Creed Humphrey at 16. Lamar Jackson. Coming in at number 15, Jordan Malita. I can never say him. He was the only tackle that was better than Rashawn Slater on the PFF score last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Will Levis. TJ Watt, number 12. Cooper DeJean, number 11. Okay. This guy's trolling because the NFL did release players. Let's see, 4 days ago. What are we down to right now? 43. So number 50, Baker Mayfield. Wow, Baker Mayfield. We are officially under 50. Jean is 60. Matthew Stafford, 59. Joe Mixon. Nick Bosa, 57. Justin Herbert, 56. Aiden Hutchinson, 55. Derwin James, 54. Jared Verse, 53. Terry McLaurin, 52. Kyle Hamilton, 51. And then we get to 50. Baker Mayfield. Quinion Mitchell. Wow. Quinion Mitchell 49? That's way too low. I'm sorry. Dude, Patrick Surtain didn't even get number 49 after his rookie year. He was like in the 70s. Quinion Mitchell allowed an average of 1.5 yards after the catch as the nearest defender in coverage. Jonathan Greenard, Tyreek Hill, Will Johnson Jr., Trent Williams at 45, Mike Evans at 44, Jalen Carter coming in at 43. 1 year removed from finishing second in AP Defensive Rookie of the Year voting, Carter makes his debut in the top 100 behind his first Pro Bowl campaign. Taking on a larger role as a starter in the defense, Carter was part of the Eagles' young but impressive defensive front line, keeping opposing quarterbacks in check throughout the season and Philly's march to the Super Bowl. Carter notably made 2 key defensive plays to close out the Eagles' divisional round win over the Rams, recording a third down sack and then a QB hit on his incompletion to force a turnover on down set in the game. Jalen Carter played 79.5% of the Eagles' defensive snaps this season, the second highest pay time rate at his position league-wide, despite sitting out Week 18. Wow. Second most despite sitting out Week 18. So in that, remember, Jalen Carter was going to go like 1 or 2 overall, 3 overall, fell all the way to, I believe, number 12 because of the racing. You know, this is just what the Eagles do. Sit back, capitalize. They were even able to draft, was it Nolan Smith at number 31? And I'm wondering, is Nolan Smith in the top 100? Quinion Williams, Laramie Tunsil, Jerry Jeudy, 80, Rashawn Gary, Dak Prescott, Khalil Mack, T. Higgins, number 77, Patrick Queen, Bobby Wagner, Christian McCaffrey. He got injured and he's all the way to 73. Remember, he was number 3 in 2024. 73. I don't know. If he's back 100% to the way he was, he looks healthy. Dude, I feel like I'm going to draft him. I mean, nobody wants to draft him. I'll draft him. He looks good. Yeah, he looks ready to go. There's zero reason for you not to have CMC as a top 5 running back in your rankings this season. Shut up. Gosh. Let people doubt. No, by the time it comes time to draft, everyone's going to read the experts and be like, yeah, his upside's just too good not to take a chance. Yeah, he's definitely worth a top 5 pick. It's not like anyone's going to sneak, a pick like that. So, but Bijan Robinson did talk about training with CMC for 4 weeks this summer. And, that's just good for both of them. So we will see CMC dropping all the way to 73. I don't know. I feel like that may be a little disrespectful for a guy like that. But Rashawn Slater out for the year. Brutal injury to the rookie for the Ravens, done for the season. And Anthony Richardson dislocated his pinky on a blindside sack. And outside of that, we will be giving you NFL news every single day. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the injury, Chargers fans, but I will see you guys soon on the next episode.